Well, hi there. This is Monday, September 19th, and today we are looking at algebra. And everybody's favorite thing is algebra. So, algebra. Last week we talked about solving linear equations for x. There's basically a three-step process. Step one, put all the x's on one side. Step two, put all the numbers on the other side. Step three is you simplify. Um, and what that means is you divide both sides by the number in front of the letter. Um, Now, I'm using this non-mathy way to say it because uh, that's what most people just do. You move the stuff to the left, move it to the right, and then divide by the number. So I'm going to give an example. This one is on page 17 in your book. It's question number 14, and it's negative 7x plus 4x minus 4 minus 6x. Okay, so quickly going through that, um, 4x equals minus 4. So I want all the x's on the left. Okay, to do that, I see I have a term with x here, a term with x here, and a term with x here. I always include the symbol in front, so it's a negative 7x, a positive 4x, and a negative 6x. I want all the x's on the left. To do that, I add 6x to both sides. So add 6x to both sides, and I end up with 6x minus 7x plus 4x. Well, that's all my x's. So 6x minus 7x is negative 1x, and negative 1x is 4, or for those who don't like that, 6x plus 4x is 10x, 10 minus 7 is 3. No matter how you do it, you end up with 3x equals negative 4. So I have all the x's on the left, the numbers are on the right. In this case, there were no numbers on the left to start with. There was only numbers on the right. So step 2 was nice. And step 3 is simplify. What that means is divide both sides by whatever number is in front of the letter. And there's a 3 in front of that letter, so I'm dividing both sides by 3. So I end up with x equals, because 3 over 3 is 1, equals negative 4 thirds. And that's my answer. Okay, 3 steps all the time, just 3 steps. And that's all you have to do. Okay, so now that you know that's all you have to do, the question is how can you get to where you do it faster and you don't have all this jumbled mess? Well, there's 2 or 3 ways that people do this, and I'm going to tell you the way that I learned to do it. I just kind of made this up myself, and it helped me visually. Colored pencils are your friend. They are your love and your dream, or if not colored pencils, colored pens. I'm a big fan of colored pencils because you can erase them. I'm going to use colored pens because it shows up here. And generally speaking, when I was going to school and I was taking tests, I didn't really even use colored pencils. But what I meant by that is I had 2 different uh, pens or pencils or writing utensils to represent different things. So I'm going to do this a similar problem to the one I just did. And this is number 15 on page 17. And it is 6. I'm going to switch to a pencil plus 6x. Kind of see how they look different on the paper. Equals negative 2x plus 2x. Okay, so what is it I did here with the 6 and the 6x and the 2x, and the negative 2x? The answer is anything with an x on it, I did in one type of writing utensil, and anything without the x on it, I did in the other. So I used black ink to represent 6, the numbers, and I used pencil to represent the letters. That way in my head, I can really separate which is which. So when I go back to my original 3 concepts, as I say, okay, move all the x's to the left. Now, x's are in pencil, so I have a 6x on the left. I have a negative 2x and a positive 2x. Well, what's negative 2x plus 2x? So, well, that's equal to 0. So in this case, the problem is kind of simple. there are 0 x's, and I have a 6x, and then I have a 6. Well, 0x is just 0, so I'm just going to not even put the x there. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that one. I can leave that one in either, well, is 0 a number or a letter? Well, 0 is actually a number, so I'm going to put that in ink. So, and I could have left it in letters, and certainly if I was just using a pencil or a pen like I did on the first one, I would have kept it all in the same. But in this case, it's pretty obvious. The numbers are 6. The letters reduce down to, again, putting the letters on the left, there's a 6x, and that's it. So if I go to step number 2, which is put the letters or the numbers on the right, well, I have 6 on the left. I need to get rid of this. Well, minus 6. What's 6 minus 6? 0. Well, I'm going to minus 6 on this side. So you notice whatever I did to the left, I did to the right. And again, I'm doing numbers in ink. That makes it a little bit simpler. Well, what's 6 minus 6? Well, that's nothing. So I end up with 6x, which is in pencil, equals negative 6. Ta-da. Okay, so numbers are ink, letters are pencil. Okay, so now I'm at step 3, simplify. All that means is I divide both sides by the number in front of the letters. So divide both sides by 6. In this last step, I just use whatever I've got in my hand. And 6 over 6 is 1. So I can do that, and that means 1. So I end up with x equals, well, what's 6 over 6? 6 over 6 is 1 with a negative in front, so it's negative 1. And that's the answer. Okay, this time I'm going to do it more like what I'm doing in class. Again, teaching you to use the concept by using tools that you have. Eventually you'll get to where you just see these things in your mind as colors or not. But I'm going to use 2 different colors. I'll pick another one. This one is going to be, let's try number 6 on page 17. So I'm going to do numbers in ink. So this is 8. And now I'm going to use ink minus, that doesn't show up very good, does it? Let's try a different color ink. Maybe that'll work. That's supposed to be red. Didn't really show up red, did it? 8 minus, now I'm going to go with pencil, sorry. We'll just do another one in pencil. So 8 minus 7x equals, again, equals can be, doesn't matter which one, equals negative 1 plus 2x. Okay, so solving this one, again, I'm going to use my 3 steps. Step 1, x's on the left. Step 2, numbers on the right. Step 3, divide the number in front of the letter. So here we go. Step 1, I have a 2x on the right. I have a 7x on the left. I want to get rid of 2x because that's a letter. It's a positive 2x. So I'm going to subtract 2x. So 2x minus 2x is 0. So I'm going to I can put it anywhere over here. Some people like to put them right on top of each other. I don't really care what you do. I just put them someplace. So I'm going to have, just think of it as a balance scale. I'm just adding junk to that side. So it doesn't really matter where I am. Here's a balance scale. Here's a balance scale. And so if I'm going to take 2x off that side, I'm going to take 2x off that side. It doesn't matter whether I put it in front, underneath, above, and behind. It doesn't really matter. Think of it as a scale. Okay, so once I have done that, on the right-hand side, I have negative 1 because I took 2x off. Over here, I have a negative 2x and a negative 7x, so I have a negative 9x on that side. And I have, this should be an ink. That's a 1. And I have an 8. It's a positive 8 because that was a positive 8. So again, thinking of it as a scale, step number 2, is going to be put the numbers on the right. Well, there's only one number here. I want to put it over there. So in other words, I want to get rid of all the ones on the left. That's what I mean when I say put the numbers on the right. I have an 8 on this side. Well, again, thinking of it as a balance scale, how do I get rid of an 8? Well, I take off an 8. That gets rid of it. But if I do it to that side, I also have to do it to that side. Now it's still balanced. So an 8 minus 8, that goes away. And so I end up with, on the right-hand side, a -1 and a -8. Well, that's a -9. And on the left-hand side, I have a -9x. I've just now done step number 1, step number 2. All the numbers are on the right, all the letters are on the left. Third step is whatever number's in front of that letter, in this case, -9, I'm going to divide both sides by -9. Again, a balance scale. Whatever I do to the left, I've got to do to the right. And you can't do this until you get down to just having a number and a letter. If you've got a bunch of other junk over here, you can't just divide by 9 and it doesn't come out real simple. And it doesn't, you kind of want to wait till this step before you divide by 9. So -9 over -9 is 1. That's the point. Every time you do this, you're always going to end up with whatever's on top, divide that by on the bottom, you end up with 1. -9 over -9 is 1. And that's x. Oops, sorry, should be pencil. Pencil x, and that's going to equal, what's -9 over -9? That's 1. Answer, 1. And again, you can tell this is true if I go back to my first equation way up here, and I say, okay, let's plug in, or let's assume x is equal to 1. Well, 7 times 1 is 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. Okay, 1 times 2 is 2. Well, it's -1 plus 2, 1. Does 1 equal 1? Yes, it does. So I got it right. So again, what I'm looking for you to do today is just get faster at this. Getting the left and the right and divided by the thing. And again, looking at colors will help you a lot. Again, when I was going through school, usually I had a blue pen and a pencil. And that made it really easy. Whenever I did something, I would just do it in blue pen, make sure it on both sides, and that would allow me to visually see what's going on a little faster. Okay, one last thing for those of you who want to be real neurotic about this, I'm going to do it the way some math books will show it. So this problem is number 21 on page 21, and this is number 17. Okay, here it is. And I'm going to do it with a pen, just like I did before. 6, pull up, and then letters are going to be pencil plus 3x equals -8 and a positive 4x. And again, in your head, if you think of this as I have a 6 on this side, I have a 3x on this side, I have a -8 on this side, and I have a positive 4x on this side. On a balance scale, you've got 4 things sitting on your scales, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. They're very different. You have xy things and you have numbery things. Okay, first step, I want all my numbers on the left, which means I have to take all the letters on the left, so I have to take these guys off the right. So to take these things off, this is how a lot of times people will do it, is they will put it directly underneath, like this, put a thing, and say, okay, 4x minus 4x is 0, okay? And minus 4x equals there. And so what's 3x minus 4x? It's -1x. Then they will do this in another step, and they'll say, okay, what about the numbers? I have a 6 on this side. I would like to get rid of it. So -6, well, what's 6 minus 6? 0. -8 minus 6 is -14. And if I simplify that, I have -x equals -14 plus 0 plus 0. I've simplified it a bit. This is the same as -1. So if I just divide both sides by -1, I end up with x equals 14. I find this technique to be more confusing than this technique. I'm doing the exact same thing, but it's where I'm writing it. The key is in your head, being able to go back and check for mistakes. Where are your mistakes? I find this too many things in one spot. That's why I prefer to kind of separate them in my head, give a little more space here, and it works just fine. Ultimately, you end up doing a lot of this in your head, but not until you do about 10,000 of them. Anyway, well, good luck. Bye.